I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do something absolutely positively life-changing. I'm gonna talk about Wonder Woman. Yeah, I want to compare very specifically the Hellenistic imagery and portrayal, so like the Greek gods, Greek mythology, all that stuff, in the issues of Wonder Woman 20 to 21, written by Tom King, and Absolute Wonder Woman 1 and 2, written by Kelly Thompson. I want to do a fun compare and contrast with you all. Let's compare, let's contrast, let's see, let's get into the weeds of the portrayal of the gods, the Hellenistic imagery, the mythology. Let's see how it's portrayed in both these. Why I believe this matters, because accuracy is just more interesting. Sorry, like it is just more fun when a story understands very deeply what it's talking about, and because of that is able to do every fun literary trick where you subvert expectations, you turn thing on its head, but you can't really do that unless you know what you're talking about. Sorry. And another thing is that people actively pray to these gods still. I'm one of those people, hey. I'm a practicing Hellenistic polytheist. I have been since I was about 18. I'm 22 now, so a little while. And my practice is very important to me and has helped me in a lot of aspects in my life. Being a Baja Blast. I asked for sugar-free, but it definitely has sugar in it. Now, while the Greek pantheon definitely doesn't operate the same way as the Christian one, I still think it deserves respect and nuance in regards to the way the gods are portrayed. The iconography of these figures and gods holds such like weight and importance in the Wonder Woman mythos and relies on the reimagining and the revitalization of that portrayal. So when the portrayals of the gods or anything relevant to that is misinformed, it feels a little, like I said, disingenuous. Accuracy is a lot more fun, and I can tell when a writer, you know, put like one grain of thought into the portrayal of the gods and mythology alike. So let's get started. Let's talk about a prime example of flirting versus harassment. Wonder Woman. Regular base Wonder Woman. You guys are not even, if you have not read these two issues, you are not even ready for what I am about to share. It is so, We start off with Hippolyta in the form of a goat asking Diana for a favor. As you now know, well, as you should know, Hippolyta is now, was killed in the mortal realm and has now ascended to godhood on Mount Olympus. So she comes to her daughter in the form of a goat and asks her a favor. She's like, hey girl, hope you've been good. I found someone in my bed after like a really crazy Dionysus Bacchanalia. And Diana's like, good for you, girl, good for you, mom. And Hippolyta's like, yeah, like, you know, I just wanted some divine fun. So it's Ares, and he's dead in my bed with a sword in his back. Can you come help me? Because I don't know if I did it or not. So yeah, right off the bat, we have a dead god. The gods can't die, so we're already in for a very loopy ride, okay? Very bumpy. Basically Hippolyta is like, you just gotta help me out, girl. Sorry, you gotta come help me out. And Diana's like, okay. So she gets the world's greatest detective, Batman. And even Batman humbles himself here, which is really funny because he's like, I'm the world's greatest detective, I'm like the world's greatest detective, not like, you know, that's the gods' business. I don't know if I should be involved in all that, Diana. And he's right. He shouldn't have been. And then like they drive over, like, cause they're driving up to Olympus, so they drive off the edge of the bridge and into Olympus. Pretty cool shot, all things considered, whatever. I do want to talk about this moment though, where Diana is like, you have to have faith. And Bruce is like, well, your gods aren't my gods. And Diana's like, what church do you have, Batman? Like, where do you go to mass? And Bruce says, God isn't in the church. He's in the alley. That has nothing to do with anything. I just thought that was ridiculous. Anyway, they pull up and they are greeted by a guard, and he's like, stop right there. And Diana just kind of punches her way through. Why are you so mad? What is going on? So the track record for the rest of this issue is Diana's really angry. She's really mad. It explains why later, but she's really angry and she takes her anger directly out on these gods. She will beat them up at any given moment. She is not afraid to just punch them in the face whenever she feels like it. Okay. Like, what? It's so like, girl, you just got here. Like, you don't even have a grasp on the situation at hand. You don't even know if Goat Polita is lying. You don't know anything. You just got here and you are causing a scene. Put your fists down. Anyway, the entire portrayal of Zeus here is mind-blowing to me. Because the first thing he says, the first words out of his mouth are, Batman? And then when Diana claims Hippolyta's innocence, Zeus is like, yeah, and I claim to be loyal to my wife. Ha! Like, pick 3 things you know about Zeus right now, DC. God, King of Gods, lightning, cheat on wife. And then he's like, oh, how does that benefit me, your savior? Okay. And then here's the kicker. Zeus, Lord Zeus, says there are men, there are gods, and there's Batman. I know I'm here to talk about Hellenistic portrayal and imagery, but the glazing of Batman, outrageous. Like, Batman glaze has to be stopped because Wonder Woman doesn't even get her own glaze like this in her own titular. The rage is festering. It's building within my soul. Batman and Wonder Woman are on Olympus to solve this mystery of who really killed Ares. So they first go to interrogate Hippolyta. She doesn't really help much. Queen though, whatever. You do you, girl. And then we go to Dionysus. And then Wonder Woman smashes wine over his head when he didn't want to spill a dirty secret. Diana! Why are we so 100 right now? Why are we dialed all the way up? Goodness me! Anyway, they basically like torture information out of the god of pleasure and fun. Okay, I'm scared, but okay. Surprise, surprise, Ares left the party with Aphrodite. You had to do all that to him to get that in. Like, are we serious? You had to beat up Lord Bacchus for the most obvious information in the world? Your wine is gonna taste sour forever, Diana. And that's your fault. Aphrodite's introduced and oh God, I have a stitch in my side. I think it's my lady herself. Mad at this portrayal as well. Aphrodite's introduced and she's blonde hair, blue eyes, pink nails, pink lips. Like, will we ever be free of this Western interpretation of her? I just hate the vapid one-sided portrayal of her. And like, this whole thing of like, oh wow, Aphrodite finds Bruce Wayne irresistible. Stop glazing Batman in my Wonder Woman titular. Stop glazing Batman in my Wonder Woman titular. Anyway, I don't know, like the whole vibe of that scene, just like Batman not being attracted to Aphrodite, like, liar. Liar, she is the definition of beauty. So liar, Bruce Wayne, that you would just stand there while she kisses you and just be so suave and cool. Liar. What's so frustrating to me also about the scene is Diana is so offended by her behavior and her sensuality and her sexuality in this moment. Like, girl, she created you. Sorry. She's the one that gave your people freedom and immortality. Diana in this whole issue feels so rude, so disrespectful. Like, these individuals, like right now, there isn't really a reason why she is so rude. She doesn't have a reason. She's just trying to find information about what happened, and she is so, like I said, dialed to 100. Put your paws down, diva. It just feels so out of character for her. I don't know, for her to be this cold, regardless if it's the gods. Like, she feels so rude, for lack of a better term. You're rude, you're mean. I don't like mean Diana Prince. It's not why I read Wonder Woman. Anyway, Batman gets a thunderbolt straight to the chest. Hilarious, all things considered. Hilarious. Because it's genuinely so out of left field and shocking. Like, whoa! Diana goes to confront Zeus and was like, that was yours. You did that. And Zeus is like, it could have been stolen. Like, I'm low-key not even looking at these things. Anyone could just, like, come in and take them. Which is an outrageous statement from the King of Gods. And then Diana's anger is justified. Her anger is justified here, you know, because her close friend and companion is hurt. The people responsible for it are just who let it happen don't seem to really care. But all of, like, the violence and little comments and snide remarks beforehand from her, a little much. Anyway, next issue, Bruce Wayne is dead and he will never recover. Woo! Diana talks to her mom and is like, you know, well, Paul is like, you know, if I killed Ares, which I didn't, I would not have used Hephaestus's knife. Like, I would have used my bare hands. And Diana's like, okay, cool, so Hephaestus made that knife. That would have been, like, really sick to know before Batman took a lightning rod in the 9th ab. Anyway, Diana confronts Hephaestus and does what she's been doing. Harasses the poor man. And she gets so offended when he doesn't want to talk to her that she throws a knife into his hand. 0 to 100 in the blink of an eye. It gives me, like, it gives me whiplash. Like, I don't really think we need Batman in this story. I think if Diana just went to Olympus on her own and just started asking questions, this would have been revealed to be the most obvious thing in the world. Anyway, Zeus gives her a time crunch and Diana rages against the machines. He starts tearing down the pillars of Olympus, going apeshit. And it's so... oh, it just feels so disrespectful. It feels so insane of her to do. She talks to Aphrodite, and all things considered, I do like the conversation between these two because it's a little bit more respectful. I feel like it is a more down-to-earth portrayal of Lady Aphrodite, shows more of her emotional intelligence and intuition. So I appreciated that. Aphrodite reveals that Ares does nothing but cry. Weepy, weepy little boy. Diana goes back to talk to Dionysus. And she, first of all, beats the shit out of his guard for, like, honestly, no reason. She's swinging first, asking questions later. Cool. Editing Astro here. I'm recording this on Photo Booth on my Mac, which I think is pretty iconic. Diana goes to confront Dionysus again. And Dionysus says some stuff of, like, this is why women shouldn't be allowed on the mountain. They don't understand the order of things. And when Diana's like, maybe you could explain it to me, he's like, better off teaching a mule to talk. And I bring this up just because, like, I feel like the depictions of the gods in this instance are so cruel and so mean and so disconnected just to kind of justify the anger Diana has. Because why would Dionysus say that? Have you ever heard of the girls that would turn up at a bacchanalia for Lord Dionysus himself? Whatever. That's all old Astro has to say. The panel of her screaming at Dionysus is also insane. You people steal my Stephen and threaten me with melancholy? I am in hell. Which reveals why she's so mad in the first place. This is about Steve and her not being able to let go of him and feeling wronged and that. But like, and I get it, girl. I understand, Diana. I really feel for you. I just don't think Dionysus is the one, the god, to take this anger out on. What did he do to you? What did he do to you? Oh my god, Diana. Sour wine. Finally, she gets her answer that Hephaestus killed Ares because of his affair with Aphrodite. Or did he? Batman is lying dead in this Olympus bed for no reason. Because, like, wow, what a mystery. Wow, what a mystery we have here. Like, really, Diana could have figured this out herself. Bruce took the brunt of that lightning rod for no reason. There's also this really weird scene where Diana tricks Hephaestus into thinking Batman is there because she is trapped by the lasso. She's wrapped with the lasso of truth, which, like, compels her to tell the truth, even though that's not really how, like, the whatever. And she's like, oh, like, Batman's behind you. And Hephaestus is like, I don't believe you. Even though she has the lasso on, whatever, wrapped around her neck, dying. She's dying. And she says to him, oh, you think a woman would face you alone? Which, I don't really know why she would word it like that. Like, I feel like it plays into a misogyny. I feel like it plays into a misogyny that Hephaestus wasn't really written with to begin with. Maybe it's just so shocking that she would say something like, I don't know. There is a funny scene where Bruce is like, do you think I could overcome the lasso? And she's like, no. Don't be a fucking idiot. So that was a quick little rundown of what happens. That was not quick at all, Astro. That was 20 minutes of you recording. That was a quick little rundown of what happens in issues 20 to 21. And a little bit of my feelings of the portrayals of the gods in that. So now let's talk about Absolute Wonder Woman so I can just have like a reprise, so I can just breathe. I can just catch my breath for a second because, Absolute Wonder Woman. Oh my God. I don't want to be too spoilerly with this because, you know, with 2023 Wonder Woman mainline, who cares? Are you reading it? That's what I thought. Sorry. So, but Absolute Wonder Woman is amazing, and I want everybody to have the opportunity to sit down to read it and enjoy it. So I will only be covering the first two issues and spoiling the first two issues. And I will give disclaimer if I talk about anything further within the series. Meow. So, creatures have invaded Earth, and guess who's here? It's our girl. She gets a insane introduction of that she is a princess with the characteristics that any princess hopes to have: beauty, grace, compassion, kindness, wisdom. So TLDR, Wonder Woman on Absolute Wonder Woman, the Amazons really pissed off Zeus for like the final time. And Diana is the last of the Amazons taken by Lord Apollon into the underworld, and he kind of is just planning to leave the child there and, you know, whatever, see what happens. He bans Cersei, who is living within the underworld, from saying the word Amazon. So, you know, if that baby survives hell, it will have no knowledge of her heritage, which is exactly what happens because Diana is raised by Cersei. Cersei realizes she can't really be killed. She's a little tougher than that. So Cersei raises her and observes that she is very strangely overpowered, but she's such a sweet, loving, nice girl. So that tries to give every creature a fair opportunity. A true princess. That's my princess. Let's take a moment to appreciate baby Diana. Ah! So this Circe, who is a character used in Wonder Woman stories, of course, she is the goddess Circe from Greek mythology, who is known for the goddess of sorcery, skilled in like illusion, transmutation, necromancy, all that good stuff. If you've read the Odyssey or know about the story of Odysseus, that is her. She is the one that trapped Odysseus on that island and turned all his men into pigs. Girl boss. We now see her in the story as the mother of Diana, raising her. We get to see the relationship between these two. And what I think is really cool about the utilization of Circe in this narrative is that she teaches Diana magic and she teaches Diana rituals, which I find so amazing. And I think it just opened up so many fascinating things. Like spoilers. How long have I been talking about this? Only for like 5 minutes. But spoilers for an issue later down the line. I will have the issue right there. Plug your ears if you don't want to listen to this. But there is a moment where she goes into a apothecary shop run by Ida Candy and her sister, and she is listing off all these like ingredients, like natural things, and like truly doing magic and witchcraft. And I just really enjoy how the story goes deeper into that, because rituals and magic were a thing within Greek mythology, and the storytelling of it, like a lot of individuals practice magic, or there is characters like Circe that are able to perform magic. So I just think that is such a cool thing showcased here. Yeah. I also really like the attention to detail here. Like they're both wearing chitons, like pretty simple ones, but they're still like realistic, and it's a good attention to detail. I don't know, I love it. So we cut to Wonder Woman towering over those army men, as she should be. And it was like, I'll handle this, it's okay, don't worry about it. And then she's faced with this creature that she calls the Harbinger. And she says, I stand before you with the mythical Athena blade, forged by Hephaestus himself. Hard. Oh, it's so cool. Oh, it's so cool and accurate to myth and sick and whoa! I love it. So she fights, she struggles a little bit and is beat down, and we get a page of her and Circe where Diana knows the word Amazon because she just feels it in her soul and her bones, but she's afraid of this word because she doesn't know what it means and the power this word holds. And we get the sickest splash ever, where Diana in present time stands up to fight, and in the flashback we see Circe explaining what happened to the Amazons and telling Diana to acknowledge what she is and who she is, putting so much power, significance, and weight into the word Amazon, into the significance of these people. It is so refreshing to see the respect finally put on these powerful fucking women. Like, we tend to forget it is an island full of warrior women. Put respect on it. Put respect on it. Put respect on the real life Amazons that existed, that were powerful female hunters, warriors, marksmen, all of that. Second issue continues the fight, where Diana does this insane move where she bunches her whip together and makes like a star shield. Inspired, new, fantastic, delicious. Oh my god. Diana introduces this lasso in this issue, and it is named Nemesis. She says, it is fashioned by my mother, the sorceress Circe, amid from the remains of the basilic, infused with the blood of Prometheus, blessed by Demeter, goddess of the harvest, mother of us all. How this line shows like so much respect and adoration for the source material than like 2 issues of a Wonder Woman current run is insane to me. Insane to me. So we get the introduction of Absolute Steve Trevor, yippee. He is washed up on a beach in hell. Average Trevor side plot, unironically. So side note, I really love the evocation of Hecate that Diana does. Like, Hecate is the goddess of magic and witchcraft, so it makes sense that Diana would invoke her more than Hera in a lot of moments. This version of Diana, it's so inspired, so amazing. Just little things like that I think like, wow, okay, like we know what we're doing here. Love to see it. Anyway, she finds Steve and he's immediately taken by the Hydra. Hilarious, all things considered. Diana fights off the Hydra casually underwater, just another Tuesday for my girl. Diana and Steve start to bond, and they are really cute in this series. I really, really love the relationship between Diana and Steve Trevor in this series. I think it, in like 6 issues, does so much more of showing me the love and admiration and loyalty between these two characters that I just don't get in the current run, but whatever. Back to modern day. Steve takes Diana back to the US soldiers and she's like, I'm not even gonna humor you little men, actually. Sorry, bye. Another amazing thing about this issue is that Pegasus, like the Pegasus born out of Medusa's head when Perseus cut that off, that's him. That's him. Unfortunately, he's a little deaded, but that's him. And the fact that Diana rides a deceased version of Pegasus from mythology because she is the princess of the underworld is the coolest inspiration and usage of Hellenistic imagery and religion. I'm sorry, that is amazing. The issue ends with the terror side. Oh my god, uh-oh. So that was 2 issues of Wonder Woman and the first 2 issues of Absolute Wonder Woman. I chose these 2 issues of the current Wonder Woman run because of their heavy inspiration and usage of the Greek pantheon and the gods and all that goodness. And Absolute Wonder Woman kind of carries this iconography and imagery throughout its story, so that's why I picked the first 2 issues to keep it spoiler free as possible. I just think the series is amazing. It's selling so well, and I really think it's important that DC knows how much people adore and want more of this series. So just go support the official release. Go buy it, go read her. It's so worth it. Oh my god. Anyway, let's talk about the actual point of this video. The good, the bad, and the contrast of Hellenistic values and yeah, all that. So there is something I like, honestly, in Wonder Woman 2023. I like Gopalata. I loved Gopalata. I loved Gopalata. That was like the intro of the 2-parter, but I thought it was really sick just because like goats are seen as like the harbingers, like signs of warning. And they are specifically sacrificed and in relation to the goddess Artemis, which is Diana's Greek namesake, as the goddess Diana is the Roman version of the goddess Artemis. Religious and mythological muddling is so fascinating. But that's it. I genuinely think we lose the plot immediately after that. The characterization of Diana here in these 2 issues, I just think genuinely kills and renders useless the Hellenistic iconography, because her coming and swinging before anything even happens and her even being told what happened just places such a hostile and fucking harsh tone onto Olympus, and the portrayal of the gods and everyone on Olympus feels kind of exaggerated and doesn't really make sense. Like, I get this tongue-in-cheek little claim of like, I claim to be loyal to my wife, like just shows me that this is a poking fun mentality rather than like utilizing these myths and the history of the gods, an examination of why they do what they do. I also think the whole mystery of who killed Ares, just for it to be, spoiler alert, Zeus is, okay, what not, doesn't really make sense. The story says, after all our battles, all his defeats, Ares finally learned what I was teaching him, compassion. He became a god who experienced the agony of those he tortured, a god who wept in the arms of a woman. Your child showing his vulnerability, not being manly. The Lord of War knowing his victims, trying to be better. This you could not tolerate. He left Aphrodite's blind drunk, you knocked him out, you brought him to my mother's, killed him with the dagger Hephaestus told you was there, blaming her so you could get revenge for what I did to your boy, and reignite Ares' anger. Okay, What? First and foremost, like, this is such... The idea of masculinity being assigned here is so Western and 21st century. And, like, what I feel like what is wrong with this scene, we have to look at the mythological portrayal of Zeus, honestly, rather than Ares, because Zeus and the representation of him is to showcase the ideal king. But it's also representative of the ideal father, as Zeus is known as father to all. There is an air present in this scene of Zeus wanting total control of the situation, creating this fake mystery to set and regain control in the situation of Wonder Woman and her disruptions and all of that. But, like, would Zeus really do all that to punish his child for what he deems as unmasculine? Probably not. Like, the betrayal of Zeus here feels like the building flanderization that occurs with him. Like I said, king, lightning bolt, cheats on wife. But if you look at mythology, Zeus is very clever, especially when it comes to the usage of power. He is described to be very cunning. Like, if we look at the story of him swallowing his wife, Metis was a pre-Olympian god. She was known for her wisdom. Theo.com describes her as good counsel, planning, cunning, and wisdom. And Zeus swallowed her. Gulp. Yummy! This was done because of a prophecy of her having a son that will usurp Zeus, so he swallowed her. This is not only a way for the prophecy to not come true, because obviously instead of a son, he gets a daughter in Athena, but it was also a way for him to consume the personification of planning and good counsel and wisdom. Traits that a king should have to ensure his spot on the throne. All this to say, would Zeus really make this master plan that didn't really end in anything? No, I think he's smarter than that. I also don't think he would care, considering his throne is fine. From what we see of Zeus in his portrayal, he cares mostly about his throne. Any dislike of Ares that he may have within mythology is because he can threaten the throne. I genuinely don't think this situation of Ares being a little softer and gentler is worth any of Zeus's time. Especially if you think about the relationship between Zeus and Diana, and like in this run specifically, we retconned the whole nonsense New 52 did with that being her daddy. So I really don't understand where this anger comes from. The beef is between Ares and Diana. And if Ares was starting to come too, honestly, that just makes him weaker. So he can't take the throne! Mythological inspired works and subversion of these century-old tropes can be so cool if you have a solid foundation and understanding of these myths. Let's take Hadestown, for example, and look at the personification of Hades. Because ultimately, it is the capitalist story, warning story, of the dangers of giving too much of yourself. But Hades is a mythological figure that does actually rule wealth, more so his largely Roman figure, Pluton. So these ideas don't exist out of nowhere. They don't just come out of thin air. They originate from something. They originate from myth. And then they are broken down into these subverted tropes and expectations. But you have to understand the myth. And these two issues genuinely just feel like more Steve Trevor grief fodder. Oh my god! I'm sorry, and it's so disappointing because this is the first showing of Olympus and the Gods in the 2023 run, and it just ultimately feels like a means to have Diana really angry at the world. All in all, I think the story had potential, but the mystery is stupid, contrived, and the betrayal of the gods as weak comes across as a little uneducated. I don't know, and I think that's why this portrayal of Olympus and the Gods doesn't really hit the mark for me. But if we talk about Absolute Wonder Woman and why I believe it's a little bit better, because I do think that it is important to note the way these myths are being used and utilized within a story. So if we take a look at Absolute Wonder Woman, even in the short glimpse that we get in these two issues, the effort that has been put into the understanding of the religion aspect of Greek mythology, like especially regarding the practices of Circe and Diana, like how we see them conduct their home life, their rituals, their magic. It's mundane stuff, but it feels a lot more grounded, you know? Even the evocation of the gods that Diana uses shows like a more deeper level of respect and reverence. Like, This narrative also shows us as well that it is not just the blinding following of these individuals. I know I said I was going to talk about the two issues, but we're going to cut, spoiler, ahead. Because there is such an important line from Diana later on about the representation of gods in their myths, and I just have to talk about it for a second. I won't get into too much of the context of the before and after. I'm just going to talk about this one quote. Bear with me. She says, Medusa is a horror story, a cruel fate dealt by the hand of a goddess I love, Athena, who has only ever blessed me. When my feelings about the injustice of Medusa burn bright, I try to remember that all of us, even the gods, are vulnerable to our hearts becoming twisted with hate. Hate and fear will drive us only to the worst versions of ourselves. We need to be better than that. All of us. The flirting versus harassment thing isn't a joke, guys. I'm so dead serious. The stark difference between these two Dianas is insane. Insane. Okay, I know I'm talking about like the characterization of Diana and this is supposed to be about Greek mythology, but like, yeah, let's get back to that. Okay, but just, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. You see me, you get me. But the take acknowledging the gods and their stories as something being representative of the human conditioning is so fascinating. It's such a cool, nuanced take of mythology because it shows how to use in practical application these stories while acknowledging some of the more problematic nature of them. Like, not whatever this is, not the whole like, I cheated my wife, like, we also get depictions later on of Persephone and Hades, and I don't want to talk about it too much without spoilers, but I'll talk about the appearance of Lord Apollon in the beginning. I love his design. I love the fact that he is representative of light. He is glowing, and he is wearing the seven-ray crown, which sometimes Apollo is depicted wearing that, but not all the times. He's usually depicted with a laurel crown, and it is more specifically Helios that you would see the headwear of the seven-ray crown. But it's fine, I'm just happy to see him, it's okay. Which isn't to say that Apollo hasn't been depicted wearing this, but it's usually more of a laurel crown more often than not. And not to be nitpicky, but if I'm gonna be nitpicky with her, I have to be nitpicky with her. Nobody is safe from my nitpickiness. But the tiniest nitpick, I think that should have been Helios and not Apollo if we were gonna have that crown. And if it was gonna be Lord Apollon, we should change the crown to the laurel one. But there's something about the designs in the two-issue Agatha Christie twist story that feels so mundane and uninspired. I don't know, like, I kind of like the design of Hephaestus. He seems really bulky though, and the panels refuse to like focus on his lame legs, so meh. Lady Aphrodite is beautiful, of course, and is beauty personified as always, but like I said, this is a very Western depiction of her and portrayal of beauty and feminism. The design of Zeus is not that bad, but he's literally just wearing armor and a hematon, which like... Closing statements. I think Absolute Wonder Woman does a fantastic job of not only respecting these myths in the Hellenistic culture, but it's also really clear that Kelly Thompson and her team have a solid grasp on Greek mythology and the themology surrounding certain stories. And that foundational knowledge has birthed a really cool and interesting original story that not only does justice to the character of Wonder Woman and the myths, but ultimately is very crucial if we want to claim this character as Amazonian. So yeah, that's why I think the Tom King portrayal kind of misses the mark a little bit, as he often does. Go support and read Absolute Wonder Woman. It is fantastic, inspired, new, innovative. It is just such a good story, and I am having so much fun reading it, and I am so appreciative that it exists, you know, and that we do have this really cool representation of Hellenistic culture, imagery, and iconography. Imagery and iconography may be the same word. But yeah, thanks for listening to me ramble. I'm Astro. If you want to learn more about Hellenistic religions, being a practicing Hellenistic polytheist, here are some books that I've read, that I'm currently reading, that I read over and over again, and that have helped me in my practice. So yeah. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow.